Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Tuesday, the 19th of October 2021. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use the Gilded Tarot for today's reading. Let's see what the cards have to say about Tuesday and what energy you'll be working with. So I'm just going to shuffle these a few times and see what is coming up. So the first card is the Five of Swords. Okay. Then we have the Six of Swords. We had that recently. And the Page of Swords. Okay. So all swords cards. The suit in the minor arcana that has to do with travel and conflict, ideas, communication, learning, teaching, and your perspective on things. And at the center here, we have the Six of Wands. So you're moving forward, you're on a journey, there seems to be some pace going, but there's serious conflict and there's a lack of knowledge. So it's kind of interesting. First card, the Five of Swords. We see a battlefield here. We've got the victor, he's picking up the swords. Other people are face down in the grass and some others are in despair, holding up this flag of surrender. We've got the birds flying away. We've got the sun setting. So this is kind of, in this deck particularly, it's about the end of a conflict. The battle is now done. Because usually the Five of Swords is about conflict that's ongoing and certain personalities coming into your life that seem too big for their own boots, overly confident, maybe somewhat aggressive, only interested in themselves. And with the sun setting here, it means that some sort of situation which has been difficult comes to an end and the battle is now done. So whether it's worked in your favor or not, the best thing that you can do is to accept it and see what you learn from the situation. And because of Five of Swords, we've got this man looking directly at us. Usually it's kind of looking back at the people who have lost. It's kind of demonstrating that I've won. So it can mean that you accept the situation for what it is, but because he's staring straight into the camera, so to speak, it's almost like, look at me, look at what I've achieved, look at what I've learned from this conflict, and I'm pretty much unharmed. So you may be in a situation that's felt difficult, but you come out on top. So if there is conflict and types of communication that you don't particularly like, it's important to face the music because the outcome is likely to go in your favor. And facing the difficulties allows you to move on to the Six of Swords, and the Six of Swords comes after the Five. So it's about going on this journey and gathering your winnings, looking at what you've learned, the perspectives that you've gained through the difficulties, taking those with you. And that's really interesting because it adds a whole nother dimension to the Six of Swords. Usually the Six of Swords is saying, I'm going to move on regardless of what problems I have, and I'm going to take my problems with me. It's like in recovery, they say, wherever you go, there you are. And that's not going to stop you. She's using this giant wand here, this oar, to push the boat forward. But because it comes right after the Five of Swords, it's kind of like I've been through something challenging. So it's almost like the Nine of Wands in, the Suit of Wands, where the worst is behind you. So you've been in a battle, you've now won. You may feel victorious and triumphant. You may also feel exhausted and kind of like, that wasn't ideal. I don't want to do that again, but at least I've got something out of it. So a conflict that works for you allows you to take these swords with you almost as treasures. So that puts a whole different spin on things. And the main thing here is to remain teachable and open and to not go through the motions, but to deal with whatever comes your way, because it's actually going to present you with certain treasures that you can take with you on your journey, and it will feel empowering, like you're able to rise to the challenge. Not only can you listen to your intuition and navigate the waters, so your feelings or the distance you've got to go before you feel like you get to where you want to be. And it makes this whole process more journey focused because you've got good things supporting you on that trip. So watch out for things that may seem super difficult, but that actually reward you and will strengthen you in future. Because these aren't just swords now, they're almost like treasures that she's taking with her. And these swords are valuable, they've got all these jewels on them. So conflict could be transformed into something really valuable that you can use when you arrive on the other side. You can sell these, make money, buy a house, secure yourself in the new location. And this is really a wonderful twist on difficulties, because it's not that you're having problems or you're suffering for no reason. It's actually that you learn something about yourself, or you get something out of the actual situation which will enrich you in future. Swords also has to do with ideas and thinking. So it's kind of like, I survived that, I got through this, so this other thing that I'm facing now is going to be really easy, because look at how strong I am, look at what I've done in my life. So it's really having evidence that you have a lot more strength and resilience than you give yourself credit for. And that if you have a strong desire, a strong feeling to do something else with your life, then you will be able to achieve that, because of look at where you've come from and how far you've come. Finally, the Page of Swords is a court card which is very much about inexperience. And he's been given this giant sword and he doesn't know how to use it yet. He's dressed beautifully, and the phrase, all the gear and no idea, comes to mind. So he's just showing up for his first lesson. When the actual sword instructor comes along, he's going to have these sleeves damaged, and he's going to find out that this is quite difficult and hard. But the great thing about the Page of Swords is that he's willing to learn. So you leave behind the tough situation, you master it. It gives you the fuel and the motivation to move on and to set new goals for yourself. And then when you get to the other side, you're very willing and humble to learn and to address what's coming up, because you know that things can be difficult, but you are certain that you will rise to the occasion, you have what it takes. And even though you're a beginner, what you're not a beginner with is resilience and determination and conviction and confidence and all of those things that you need to learn anything. You know, if you decide, I'm going to learn an instrument, that's my new destination. I want to use my intellect to acquire a new skill here. Then if you've never done anything that's challenging in the past, and you start playing the violin and you're like, oh, this is making my fingers hurt, I'm not going to do this is super painful, then the chance of you continuing with the lessons is really low, because you're hurt by it and you're surprised by it and you're like, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. But then when you've been around for a while and you've experienced other challenging things, like, okay, I had a difficult relationship, or I had a problem with my health, or someone conned me or tricked me, or whatever it may be, you realize that most things in life do require a little bit of work, and that sometimes a little bit of pain is involved, but that you aren't put off by that, because you have the grit and the resilience to face that and come out triumphant. If you're then in the same situation saying, I want to learn the violin, you kind of go into it expecting that, hey, you know, the teacher might be mean to me if I make mistakes, or my fingers may hurt, or I may feel like I'm not as good as the other students. If you go into that situation knowing that you're going to face those kind of difficulties, then you're much more likely to stick with the violin lessons, because you're not that surprised and you're not going to become discouraged so easily. So this is really the way a very self-aware and capable grown-up would face any situation. And the great thing about this is she's pushing herself along with this giant rod, and you feel like you're on track. You're living your life purpose. So whatever comes your way, whether you feel inexperienced and you have to learn everything over again, or you feel like something is really difficult and challenging, it's not going to distract you. You have this singleness of purpose and drive that's going to help you go a long way on this day. So the biggest asset you've got is your strength of character and your ability to continue on no matter what. And that's really priceless. So that's a really interesting, positive message, especially when you look at the fact that we've got these 3 sword cards, and often the suit of swords in the tarot is associated with challenges and tough times. But this really isn't. It's saying that you have everything that you need to come out on top. Number-wise, we've got the page. That's 1, and 5 is 6, and another 6 is 12. 1 and 2 is 3, and 3 is communication, perspective, learning, and new beginnings. And that's very much aligned with what the cards have said, because the world is your oyster. You can go wherever you want because you have the right perspective on things and you're focused on your future. You're not looking to the past. This is done with. So it's all about what can I do in future? How can I stay calm? How can I be intelligent? How can I use my experience to navigate these treacherous waters so that I do get to a position where I'm able to learn about something that I really enjoy and care about, that's aligned with my life purpose, regardless of what comes along. And that's really a fabulous quality to have, that you don't feel, oh, poor me, I'm a victim and something is bad, so I have to give up. It's really this greater perspective that this is something that brings me joy. And if there are difficulties inherent in this process or project, then I'm okay with that and I'm not going to be put off by it. And that does ensure that you go a long, long way. So have a great day. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing Tuesday and I'll speak to you tomorrow.